Something I've been wanting to do for a really long time now is to finally sort through my want to read list on my Goodreads account, or my digital TBR, if you will. I will be honest, my want to read list actually isn't that bad. There's only 84 books on there, which, considering like that's years of adding books to the list, that's really not that bad. But I just want to like streamline it. I want to make sure that it's actually books I want to read now. I mean, this list literally goes back years and years and years, and I have no idea like what some of the older books on here are. So I just want to have like a streamlined list of books that I actually want to read. So when I have a bit of money spare and I want to go shopping for books, I can actually look at this list and know they're books that I genuinely want to read, if that makes sense. I don't know if this is going to be like a fun video idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's a job that I want to do and it makes good content, so why not? Okay, so we are on my Goodreads account. I'm actually going to reverse my list so I can start from oldest to newest. If I screen record this correctly, hopefully it's on screen right now because I am a tech god, clearly. Right, okay. First up on this list that I added on the 3rd of January 2017 is The Cutting Season by Attica Locke. I have no idea what this book is. Do I want to read it? Not really. I'm just going to straight up remove that because... And then we have Last Night I Sang to the Monster by Benjamin Elire Sainez. I have no doubt I added this during my like Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe phase. I read a couple of Sainez's books actually. Do I want to read this one? Let's have a look at the blurb. Zach is 18, he's bright and articulate, he's an alcoholic and in rehab instead of high school, but he does remember how he got there. He's not sure he wants to remember. Do I care enough to read this? 4.24 stars. You know what? I added this to my list back in 2018, I think it said. Have I thought about reading it since? No, I'm gonna get rid. Next up, we have The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. I've been wanting to read this book for such a long time. I love the movie of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo with Rooney Mara. Oh my god, it's such a good film. I really want to read this book, but hear me out. There's a really specific style of this book that I really want. So I think there's like 3 or 4 books in the Millennium series, and I want to get the whole series, so I do want to read them all. But I'm waiting until I find them all in a charity shop. I found the last couple in a charity shop, but I haven't been able to find The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo in this specific like cover that I want in a charity shop yet. I found other covers. I don't know why, there's just this one that I really, really want. So I'm waiting, and I am going to read this one day. I really, really am. I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. Again, do I really want to read this? It's been on my list for ages. I've heard a lot of things about it, but I think, well, I suspect now that it's probably a little bit young for me. Not that bothered. I'm going to remove that. My internet is really, really slow. You might be able to notice from all the bloody loading because I'm currently trying to upload a video that is 55 minutes long. It's just not going very well for me. Then we have Anything for You by Saul Black. This is the 3rd book in the Valerie Hart series. The first book in the series, oh my god, what's it called? I literally recommend it to people all the time. What's the book called? Oh my god, I'm actually having a brain fart. Wait. The Killing Lessons. Yeah, The Killing Lessons is one of my favourite like psychological thriller books of all time. And then last year when I was on holiday in Dubrovnik, I read Love Murder, which is the 2nd one in the series. It's like a police procedural kind of vibe book. I didn't love Love Murder, ironically. I thought it was alright, but I didn't love it. But I'm going to read the 3rd one in the series just because I like the character of Valerie Hart, and Saul Black does write a really interesting story. So yes, I am going to read that at some point. That's one of those books that I don't want to read, like, I don't want to buy full price, but if I see it in a charity shop, you better believe I'm going to buy it. Then we have The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne, which I actually bought in a charity shop not too long ago. So there you go, that is currently on my physical list for me to read as well. Moving on, we have Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill. I have no memory whatsoever of what this book is about. Oh, that is not the book that I clicked on. In a world in which baby girls are no longer born naturally, women are bred in schools, trained in the arts of pleasing men until they're ready for the outside world. At graduation, the most highly rated girls become companions, permitted to live with their husbands and breed sons until they're no longer useful. For the girls left behind, the future as a concubine and teacher is grim. This sounds very Handmaid's Tale, and I'm not going to lie, that does sound like a fascinating premise for a book, but I just don't think I have like the mental capacity right now to be reading a book like that. I am very scared about what the direction of this world is currently going in, and it just feels a little bit too close to home. Does anyone else agree? Oh my god, what is my hair doing? Has that been doing it the entire time? It looks like I've got like a little devil horn. Well, that can stay there, that's fun. Okay, we're going to take off Only Ever Yours because just too close to home. Elizabeth is Missing by Emma Healy. I don't like this cover, I'm not going to lie to you, not a fan of this cover. This darkly riveting debut novel, a sophisticated psychological mystery that is also a heartbreakingly honest meditation on memory, identity and ageing. An elderly woman descending into dementia embarks on a desperate quest to find the best friend she believes disappeared. And her search for the truth will go back decades and have shattering consequences. That sounds alright. 3.72 stars. Am I going to read it realistically? Like, am I going to spend my money on that book over other books? Probably not. You're going. Goodbye. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel to The Hunger Games. I actually have this book. I've had this book for a very, very long time. Have I read it? No, I haven't. Do I want to read it before the movie comes out later this year? I actually don't think I particularly do. I literally read like 2 chapters of the book and it was so dull. Like, if there's any character in the Hunger Games universe that I want to get to know better, it is not President Snow. I don't care about President Snow. I don't care about him having like this redemption arc or like learning about what made him the way he is. He's just a villain to me. I don't really care. I will see the movie. I don't care enough to read the book first. I'm actually going to take this off my digital TBR, and I'm also going to get rid of the book. More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. I'm just gonna straight away remove that. I don't care to find out what that's about. Don't want to read it. How We Fell Apart by Katie Zhao. I have had this on my list for a really long time and I keep looking at it and I just haven't picked it up yet. So this is Nancy Liu is shocked when her former best friend Jamie Ruin, top-ranked senior at Sinclair Prep, goes missing and then is found dead. Nancy is even more shocked when word starts to spread that she and her friends, Crystal, Akil and Alexander, are the prime suspects thanks to the proctor, someone anonymously incriminating them via the school's social media app. This has given me very like Karen McManus kind of vibes. But I do actually kind of want to read it. This is about like an elite prep school, which sounds like Karen McManus cross Gossip Girl. Kind of love it. Do want to read that. That's going to stay. I Let You Go by Claire McIntosh. I feel like I've seen the movie of this book. Is there a movie of this book? Do I care enough to actually read it? Wait a sec. I Let You Go movie. Oh no, I think I'm thinking of something else. But either way, I don't really care to read it. That's gonna come off my list. Love and Lies of Roxana Ali. I really want to read this book. I actually bought a copy of this book on Vinted and then the person I bought it from just never posted it and I was so mad because it was literally up for like £1 and I thought I'd grab myself a right bargain there and it just never turned up, so I was very upset. So I do really want to read this. This is about Roxana Ali, who is 17 and she has conservative Muslim parents and she is gay. And it's about sort of like her sexuality with her religion and her culture, I think Bangladeshi? Yeah, so her parents are devastated. Being gay may as well be a death sentence in the Bengali community. They immediately whisk Roxana off to Bangladesh, where she is thrown headfirst into a world of arranged marriages and tradition. So I thought this was like a YA book, but maybe this is a bit more mature than that. Regardless, I really, really want to read this. Come Back For Me by Heidi Perks. Shocking discovery, an island wrapped in secrets. A tiny island community is stunned by the discovery of a long-buried body. Don't really care. Remove. Bye. I'm being brutal. I'm doing it. 50/50 by Eddie Flynn. talking of vintage, I'm just getting notifications. 50/50 by Eddie Flynn. I loved the last Eddie Flynn book I read, which was... what was it called, everyone? What was it called? The last Eddie Flynn book. 13. I loved that book, and 50/50 is the follow-on from 13. I actually do want to read the first 3 in the series as well, but I think you can just like dip in and out where you want. It doesn't really matter too much. 100% want to read this. Again, it's one that I'm waiting to find in a charity shop because it feels like a book that would be in charity shops, doesn't it? Then we have Her Royal Highness, Royals number 2. This looks gay. Is it gay? Millie Quint is devastated when she discovers that her sort of best friend, sort of girlfriend, has been kissing someone else. And because Millie cannot stand the thought of confronting her ex every day, she decides to apply for scholarships to boarding schools. That sounds cute. It sounds gay. It sounds young. So I'm gonna say bye-bye. Goodbye. A Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sarah Bernard. I said that really funny. Bernard? Sarah Bernard. Steffi doesn't talk, but she has so much to say. Reese can't hear, but he can listen. Their love isn't a lightning strike, it's the rumbling roll of thunder. That's hard to say. Rumbling roll of thunder. Steffi has been a selective mute for most of her life. She's been silent for so long that she feels completely invisible. But Reese, the new boy at school, sees her. He's deaf. That actually sounds quite cute. That sounds straight, but it sounds cute. I'm going to keep that. I want to read that. Then we have Confessions of a Sociopath, A Life Spent Hiding in Plain Sight. I have wanted to read this for a really long time, but I have seen so many bad reviews of this book. I actually think I'm just going to say bye-bye to it because it makes me sad. I've wanted to read it for such a long time, but I haven't because so many people have told me that it's actually terrible. So, goodbye. The Crucifix Killer, which is the first one in the Robert Hunter series by Chris Carter. I've read a couple of books in the Chris Carter series. I think I actually did a sponsored video with a Chris Carter book years and years ago now, which I think must be when I added this to my want to read list, maybe? No, I didn't add this till July 2021. It would have been way before that. But anyway, I really enjoyed the book that I had to do the sponsorship with, and I read a couple of others. I want to read this one so I can read the whole series, so I'm going to keep that. The Inheritance Games, I think this is one that I just saw on TikTok and I added it, but I don't actually really care for it, so I'm just going to remove it. Every Last Fear by Alex Finlay. What is this song? What is this book? They found the bodies on a Tuesday. So begins this twisty and breathtaking novel that traces the fate of the Pine family. A thriller that will both leave you on the edge of your seat and move you to tears. After a late night of partying, NYU student Matt Pine returns to his dorm to find devastating news. Nearly his entire family, his mum, his dad, his little brother and sister, have been found dead from an apparent gas leak whilst vacationing in Mexico. You know what? Straight away, I'm going to say I cannot hack that book. I'm terrified of gas leaks. I'm terrified of house fires. I just don't feel like with the current place I'm in with my anxiety surrounding stuff like that, I don't think I need to be reading anything about gas leaks. I don't think I need it. Goodbye. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. Look at this. I have this one to read as well. I'm very excited to read this book. I actually think this might be my next read, so that's very exciting. Can you see my jammy bottoms? I'm sure you probably can. From Little Tokyo with Love by Sarah Kuhn. I actually remember putting this one on my list. We're like getting closer to today. Author Sarah Kuhn reinvents the modern fairy tale in this novel of a girl whose search for a storybook ending takes her to unexpected places in both her beloved LA neighbourhood and her own guarded heart. If Rika's life seems like the beginning of a familiar fairy tale, being an orphan with 2 bossy cousins and working away in her aunt's business, she would be the first to reject that foolish notion. After all, she loves her family, even if her cousins were named after Disney characters, and with her biracial background, amazing judo skills and red-hot temper, she doesn't quite fit the princess mould. You know what? I actually don't think that sounds like a bit of me. I don't. I'm gonna remove that from my list. Sorry. It sounds cute, it's just not a bit of me. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I have wanted to read this book for a really long time. This has been on my list since the 12th of December 2021. And I have repeatedly gone to buy it and then not bought it because there's such mixed reviews of this book. Like, some people say it's so slow and repetitive and boring that they just hate it. Other people love this book. So guys, let me know in the comments if you've read Addie LaRue and if it's worth me reading. Do you think I'll like it? I need a plot. I need like a good plot for me to want to keep reading a book. Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. I think I added this one purely for the really fun cover, but I have no idea what this is about. Let's find out. We can't choose what we inherit, but we can choose who we become. No, but can we choose who we become? In present-day California, Eleanor Bennett's death leaves behind a puzzling inheritance for her two children, Byron and Benny. A black cake made from a family recipe with a long history and a voice recording. In her message, Eleanor shares a tumultuous story about a headstrong young swimmer who escapes her island home under suspicion of murder. Oh, that sounds really good. Yeah, I want to read that. I really want to read that. A Beautiful Poison by Lydia Kang. I think this looks like a fantasy book, and I do not read fantasy books, generally. Just beyond the Gilded Age and the mist-covered streets of New York, the deadly Spanish influenza ripples through the city. But with so many victims in a close circle, young socialite Aline questions if flu is really to blame. All appear to have been poisoned, and every death was accompanied by a mysterious note. Oh no, that's not fantasy. That sounds fantastic. No wonder I added that. Spanish influenza, but like potential murder, poison, notes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I want to read that one. Okay, that can stay. See, that was me judging a book by its cover. You see? Don't do that. Bad. The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I love Elizabeth Acevedo. Clap When You Land is one of my favourite books I've ever read. Like, it's one of those books I read at the time and I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. And then it's just stuck with me ever since. I love it so much. She writes all of her books in verse. Or no, actually, this is a novel. This is her first novel, I think. But her writing is so beautiful and so lyrical that I think a novel by her is just going to be absolutely stunning. What is this about? About an Afro-Latina heroine who tells her story of blazing words and powerful truth. Amara Batista feels unheard and unable to hide in her Harlem neighbourhood. Ever since her body grew into curves, she has learned to let her fists and fierceness do the talking. But Amara has plenty she wants to say. Oh yeah, I want to read that so bad. When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. What is this about? The gentrification of a Brooklyn neighbourhood takes on a new sinister meaning. Sydney Green is Brooklyn born and raised, but her beloved neighbourhood seems to change every time she blinks. Condos are sprouting like weeds, for sale signs popping up overnight, and the neighbours she's known all her life are disappearing. To hold on to her community's past and present, Sydney channels her frustration into a walking tour. To hold on to her community's past and present, Sydney channels her frustration into a walking tour and finds an unlikely and unwanted assistant in one of the new arrivals to the block, her neighbour Theo. But Sydney and Theo's deep dive into history quickly becomes a dizzying descent into paranoia and fear. You know what? I love New York, I love Brooklyn, I'm intrigued by this. I don't know how good that'll be, but I'm intrigued, so I'm going to keep it. The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. What is this? This is another like mystery thriller. Before Owen Michaels disappears, he manages to smuggle a note to his beloved wife of 1 year, protect her. Despite her confusion and fear, Hannah Hall knows exactly to whom the note refers, Owen's 16-year-old daughter, Bailey. Bailey, who lost her mother tragically as a child. Bailey, who wants absolutely nothing to do with her new stepmother. So basically, Hannah's husband is not who he says he is. He's got a daughter who hates her stepmother. I'm intrigued. I love the cover of this. I'm going to keep that. I do kind of want to read that. Then we have The Push by Ashley Audrain. I have seen a lot about this book. Again, I think the cover of this one really intrigues me. But I actually don't know what this is about. This is a tense, page-turning psychological drama about the making and breaking of a family, and a woman whose experience of motherhood is nothing at all what she hoped for and everything she feared. Okay, so Blythe Connor has a daughter called Violet, but Violet is not like other kids. Blythe becomes convinced that something is wrong with her daughter. She doesn't behave like most children do, or is it all in Blythe's head? Her husband Fox says she's imagining things. Okay. I've seen this all over TikTok and I'm officially intrigued. Girl A by Abigail Dean is another one I definitely want to read because I have that also on my list. There, somewhere, yellow cover, there. That one, there. I do want to read that. Then we have Violetta by Isabel Allende. Is this just going to be a book that sits in my list just staring at me for a really long time till eventually I crack and try and read it and then just don't like it because I can't get into it? It certainly seems like that. But let's see. Epic story of Violetta Duval, a woman whose life spans 100 years and bears witness to the greatest upheavals of the 20th century. Violetta comes into the world on a stormy day in 1920, the first girl in a family of 5 boisterous sons, and then you basically follow her through the next 100 years. So World War II, the Spanish flu, the Great Depression. You know what? I take back everything I said. This sounds like all the kind of history that I really enjoy learning about. I'm going to keep this and I'm going to read that. Then we have With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Haspedo. Again, like I said, I love Elizabeth Haspedo. I think this is another novel in verse. Again, I'm going to keep that on there because I want to read everything by the author. I really need to start, I just need to buy all her books and just read them all because I loved Clap When You Land, like I said, so much. Girl, Serpent, Thorne by Melissa Bashardist. Again, this looks like fantasy. Why is this on my list? Utterly original fairy tale about a girl to be poisonous to the touch, cursed to be poisonous to the touch, and who discovers what power might lie in such a curse. No. Snap decision. Let's get rid of that one. The Verifiers by Jane Peck. Again, this is one that I've seen loads about. Sharp-witted heroine for the 21st century, a new amateur sleuth exploring the landscape, both physical and virtual, of New York in a debut novel about love, technology and murder. That's all I need. I need to read that book. I'm going to read that book. The Midnight Lie by Marie Rakowski. Do I want to read this? Again, it looks like fantasy. Clearly I was going through something. Do I want to read this? No, that is... Oh, it's gay. An epic LGBTQ romance fantasy about learning to free ourselves from the lies others tell us and the lies we tell ourselves. I probably added this to my list because I was like, it's gay, I need to read all the gay books, but I just don't like fantasy. I'm not a fantasy gal, so even if it is gay, I'm sorry. There's a book out there for everyone. There's somebody out there who would love that book. I don't think I am that person. Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily R. Austin. I do really want to read this book, but I'm waiting till I'm in a good headspace because this is about Gilda, a 20-something lesbian who can't stop thinking about death. And that's somebody who was terrified of death in all forms. Actually, no, I'm not terrified of myself dying. I'm terrified of everyone around me dying at any point. It's all I think about. My family always make fun of me, but my baseline in life is if I can't directly see you in my eye line, you are dead until proven otherwise. And that is just how my anxiety manifests itself. If I text my girlfriend and she doesn't reply within 2 minutes, she is dead. And that is the only logical explanation in my head. Which makes me just a joy to be around, let me tell you. Really easy to be in a relationship with me. That is, it really works. So anyway, I do want to read this book because everyone says it's amazing. I just don't think right now is the time for me to be doing that. Then we have How to Excavate a Heart by Jake Meyer Arlo. This, I think, is a cute sort of holiday... Not holiday, that was very American of me. It's very Christmassy, gay, rom-com love story, which I actually wanted to read over Christmas last year, didn't get around to it, so I'm going to wait till Christmas next year. Moving on to Her Name in the Sky by Kelly Quinlan. I actually have this book. This is another WLW sapphic romance book. I have this book and I started to read it, but the text in it is so weirdly printed that it just hurt my eyes and I couldn't read it at all. I gave up after about 2 chapters because also the characters, I have a feeling if I carried on the characters warm to me, but the printing was so terrible, so I actually might try and get this on my Kindle so I can actually read it. I don't know what it was, it really hurt my eyes, not good. Love and Other Natural Disasters by Misa Segura. Is this just another gay romance rom-com book. I think it is. I'm working my way through all of them. That one can stay. We have Hani and Issue's Guide to Fake Dating by Adiba Jagadar. I have read another book by this author called The Henna Wars, which is not like the best book I've ever read, but it's very cute YA sapphic romance, and I have no doubt Hani and Issue's Guide to Fake Dating is going to be the same. The Dead in the Dark by Courtney Gold. I have wanted to read this book for the longest time, but every time I've checked, it actually hasn't been in paperback here in the UK, which has been really frustrating. But let me have a look right now. The Dead and the Dark, Courtney. They've literally only got the hardcover in the UK, £19.39 for a hardcover. I hate hardcovers, and I'm not spending nearly £20 on a book. But what I'm going to do is I go to New York in June in like 5 weeks. I'm so excited. So I'm going to put this on my list, actually pick up in a bookshop in New York, because I want to read this book so bad. Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez. This is just a YA sapphic romance again. I'm working my way through them. Like I said, that can stay. We have Count Your Lucky Stars, which is the third book in the Written in the Stars series by Alexandria Bellfleur. I loved Written in the Stars so much. So spicy. Such like a lovely sunshine and grumpy trope story. And I really want to read Count Your Lucky Stars, which is the third one in the series, which is also gay. I do have Hang the Moon on there as well, which I actually added to my want to read before I realised that Hang the Moon is about a straight appearing couple. I think the woman in the relationship is bisexual, but I'm just not interested in men. That is not bisexual erasure. I myself identified as bisexual for a very, very long time. It's just I'm not interested in reading about relationships with men. You do you, boo. If you like men, go for it. Not me. The Project by Courtney Summers. I think I added both this and Cracked Up to Be when I went through my Sadie by Courtney Summers phase. But do I really care about reading either of these books? Lo Denham is used to being on her own. After her parents died in a tragic car accident, her sister B joined the elusive community called the Unity Project, leaving Lo to fend for herself. No, don't care about the Project. That one could be removed. Cracked Up to Be, what are you about? Perfect, Parker Fadley isn't so perfect anymore. She's quit the cheerleading squad, she's dumped her perfect boyfriend, and she's failing school. Her parents are on constant suicide watch, and her counsellors think she's playing games. But they don't know that the real reason for this whole mess is something she can't say out loud. You know what? That one's intrigued me. We'll keep that one. Memorial by Brian Washington. This is a book that I'm really excited to read. This is about two young men who are at this like crossroads in their relationship. Benson and Mike are two young guys who live together in Houston. Mike is a Japanese-American chef, and Benson's a black daycare teacher, and they've been together for a few years. I don't really read that many sort of MLM, as in like men loving men, not multi-level marketing, obviously, books, and it's something that I really want to start reading more, because I feel like a lot of like the more historical, a lot of the more like really important literature about like the gay experience is through the lens of like gay men rather than gay women. Yes, it's the whole thing. Yes, gay women don't get as much like exposure out there, but we're going to take what we can get. I really want to read this book. Then we have Nevada by Imogen Binney. I have started seeing this book everywhere on TikTok. This is about a trans woman, yes. Maria Griffiths is almost 30 and works at a used bookstore in New York City whilst trying to stay true to her punk values. She's in love with her bike, but not her girlfriend Steph. And then I think it's just about her like story in New York City. They go on a road trip or something. Yeah, so Maria ends up going on a road trip, and it's just like a coming of age kind of story. I've been seeing it everywhere. I really want to read it. And then we have two Sarah Waters books, Tipping the Velvet and Fingersmith. People keep telling me in my comments to read these books, but can I do it? I don't know if it's like the right writing for me. I think they're quite old books, aren't they? Like, Fingersmith is a Dickensian novel of thrills and reversals. Like, am I going to read that? Am I going to enjoy it? I know it's LGBT history. I know it sounds like something I should love. Am I actually going to read it? I don't know. They can stay, but tentatively. She Drives Me Crazy by Kelly Quinlan is another YA sapphic book that I have down there next to Girl A. The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School. This book I want to read so bad, and again, it's another one that I'm really struggling to get hold of here in the UK. Let me have a look again. Oh my god, it's being released next week, Thursday the 4th of May. Okay, I'm pre-ordering that, and that is going to come next week. Amazing. Some Girls Do by Jennifer Duggan. Again, I think this is just a sapphic YA novel. YA contemporary queer romance. An openly gay track star falls for a closeted bisexual teen beauty queen with a penchant for fixing up old cars. I love that. Easy reading. That's what I want. We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. What is the book that I read by Nina LaCour? Yerba Buena. A hard read, but worth it. The payoff is worth it. No, We're Okay. I think I just added that because I enjoyed Yerba Buena. We're moving on. Wilder Girls by Rory Power. What is this about? Again, this one I'm seeing all over TikTok. It's been 18 months since the Raxter School for Girls was put under quarantine. Since the tox hit and pulled Hetty's life out from under her, it started slow. First the teachers died one by one, then it began to affect the students, turning their bodies strange and foreign. Oh yeah, I like that. I want to read that. We're going to keep that one on here. In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. I think this is like a partial biography, kind of. So for years, Carmen Maria Machado has struggled to articulate her experiences in an abusive same-sex relationship. In this extraordinarily candid and radically inventive memoir, Machado tackles a dark and difficult subject with wit, inventiveness, and inquiring spirit, as she uses a series of narrative tropes, including classic horror themes, to create an entirely unique piece of work which is destined to become an instant classic. Who would not want to read that? I mean, it sounds very, very heavy, but I want to read that. I don't feel like abuse within same-sex relationships, particularly like WLW relationships, is spoken about enough, so I think this book is really important. Girls Can Kiss Now, essays by Jill Gutowitz. I've had this on my list for ages. I do want to read this. I think I actually might download this on my Kindle. This is just a series of personal essays exploring the intersection of queerness, relationships, pop culture, the internet, and identity. Sounds like something I would enjoy. The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo, I'm going to say is how the name is pronounced, but that is almost definitely wrong. Jordan Baker grows up in the most rarefied circles of 1920s American society. She has money, education, a killer golf handicap, and invitations to some of the most exclusive parties of the jazz age. She's also queer, Asian, adopted, and treated as an exotic attraction by her peers. That sounds amazing. I want to read that. Her Body and Other Parties, stories by, again, Carmen Maria Machado. I think if I enjoy In the Dream House, I will definitely read that as well, so that can stay. Cantorus by Carolina De Robertis. I've seen a couple of booktubers I watch raving about this. A revolutionary new novel about 5 wildly different women who, in the midst of the Uruguayan dictatorship, find one another as lovers, friends, and ultimately family. It's history, it's gay, I love it. A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I don't even know why that's on there. I'm just going to remove that straight away. The next couple of books, The Colour Purple by Alice Walker and Never Ever Getting Back Together by Sophie Gonzalez, are both also down there for me to read. We have A Scatter of Light by Melinda Lowe, which is who wrote Last Night at the Telegraph Club, and I loved it. Another masterful coming-of-age queer story, this time set against the backdrop of the first major Supreme Court decisions legalising gay marriage. Sold. That's all I need. You can stay. I'm the Girl by Courtney Summers. Again, another Courtney Summers book. Groundbreaking queer thriller. When 16-year-old Georgia Avis discovers the dead body of 13-year-old Ashley James, she teams up with Ashley's older sister Nora to find and bring the killer to justice before he strikes again. Queer, and the main character has the same name as me. Sold. The Gun Call by Stephen Rowley. I have seen so many people saying this book is so light and fun, and I really want to read it. The First to Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I really wanted to read this when I first heard about it, but it's got so many terrible reviews, and I really enjoyed They Both Die at the End. They Both Die at the End. That's the first one, isn't it? So I'm actually going to remove this one from my list just because I enjoyed They Both Die at the End, and I don't want to ruin it with a prequel. I just want to enjoy it for what it is. The Tragedy of Heterosexuality by Jane Ward. This is an exploration of everything that's wrong. Oh, did you hear my wrist click then? Jesus. An exploration of everything that's wrong with heterosexuality in like today's culture, how people spend so much money to fix their relationships, but like there's something going wrong at the core. She shows how straight women, and to a lesser extent straight men, have tried to mend a fraught patriarchal system in which intimacy, sexual fulfillment, and mutual respect are expected to coexist alongside enduring forms of inequality, alienation, and violence in straight relationships. Ultimately, she encourages straight men and women to take a page out of queer culture, reminding them about the human capacity to desire, fuck, and show respect at the same time. Sounds amazing. I'm gonna get this on Audible if I can. And then we also have Queer Intentions, a personal journey through LGBTQ plus culture by Amelia Abraham, which again is just a non-fiction book about being gay, about LGBT culture in the Western world. And then, if we're being honest, the rest of the books on this list are ones I literally added like 3 months ago, and doing a quick scan through them, they're all books I still do very much intend to read and will read. So, on that note, we're done. I managed to get the want to read list down from 84 books to 63 books. Thank you so much for all your help in helping me narrow that down. That was a fantastic use of our time. Got this little bit of hair. It's probably been really annoying throughout the entire video, hasn't it? Do I care? Probably not. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for spending this time with me today, and I will see you in the next one. Let me know in the comments what books you've got on your want to read list that you want to read. You know, tell me. Okay, now I'm going. Bye.